So the video today will be covering the Laerdal Airway Management Trainer, also known as Fred the Head. So the part number for this is this one right here, 252000. I'm pretty sure that's not right, but I don't know. It's the head skin for Laerdal Airway Head. I'll put the actual part number in the description. So here's the airway head, and the skin and the airway are attached. They're glued together, and all you're going to need for this is a Phillips number 2 screwdriver, or just a Phillips screwdriver. And the video to my assistant here. So first thing we're going to do is take out the lungs and do unattach here. We're just going to pull off from the airway left and right. Let's pull straight out. The stomach comes off too. Make sure you're checking for debris like this. Probably don't want that in there. Good time for cleaning out the lungs. Next thing we're going to remove is this ring here. There should be 4 Phillips screwdrivers. I'm pretty sure this is the original airway head for this mannequin. By the way, this is not our trainer. This is from a different facility within our company. So these screws are a little bit rusty. Probably end up replacing these screws as well, so thankfully I've got quite a few from Simman 3G for spare screws. Okay. Separate stand. Standing and put it to the side. Next, we're going to remove the other screws here. I like to keep everything separated, so when you are putting the screws aside, make sure you don't mix them together because you have different lengths and different sizes. So there's several ways you can do this. As far as the approach, you can take the teeth out first, but we're gonna get to that. Doesn't really matter. All will come off sooner or later. Let that fall in there, that's all right, because we'll be able to retrieve it once we get this ring off. If I was assembling it, I'd probably cry at this point. That's okay. There's no crying in sim maintenance. So, okay, now this should slide right off. Excellent. Put that aside. And we have the airway and the screw and make it out right now. Oh, spare parts. So, okay, I'll come back to that screw. I can hear it in there. Unzip the back. Oh, this is really stiff. This is probably the original airway head. Really scary. Roll back over the base of the neck there. And roll this forward. Try to be careful not to split the zipper there, so I'm bracing it as I'm rolling it forward. So I want to do that same practice when I'm putting the new one on. So, all right, now we can get that screw out there. There we go. So if you do find these, just throw them away. They're from the teeth that are broken in there. Take apart the head skull too. There should be 4 screws inside of the head skull. We're going to loosen those to get this metal plate to release. So in here you're going to find a sandbag of all things. So that's where you're getting that weighted skull. Some people might use a power tool for this. I'm fine with using a power tool, taking it apart, but not putting it back together. It's just too easy to strip out the plastic. So it's just soft plastic. So feel free to use one and take it apart, just not putting that together. So there's the sandbag, beautiful. I'll leave the screws in there. Now I can separate. I'm gonna pull it out from the base. Oh, it does not, okay. All right, so we're gonna get that cartilage, and we're going to replace that, just 2 screws. Some might look at this, 3 screws, excuse me. Some might look at this and think, oh my gosh, it's a hot mess there. I can't tell which is which, but I like a little bit of chaos when I'm taking things apart. So. Okay, so you can see there's a little bit of damage with this one. It's original, so. Together in reverse. Number 1 screwdriver might be a little bit better for this, or if you have a screwdriver from your Simman 3G, that might be a little better, but we're gonna make this work. Just gotta get a little extra pressure on it to keep the screwdriver tight to the screws. Okay, this plate we're gonna toss because the new one has one. So, orientation, and the bag doesn't get pinched in there. So, put this into the metal part into the sleeve. At the same time, make sure the jaw goes into the pivot point here. Get all my screws there. Maybe they won't come out. There we go. This guy drop out anyways. There we go. This just slides over again. Make sure that your bag isn't protruding out the skull, so we're gonna don't pop it. So you just want to make sure that the metal piece is inside of the groove on both sides, which it's not. So I'm gonna fix that right now. And also the jaw mandible is inside of the pivot point. So it's kind of multiple action situation. So now that I've got that all together here, so again, it's a multiple point situation where you're holding the mandible in place, keeping the sandbags from falling out. And then after you got the mandible in its place, you want to get the collar here also in its location. There's 2 pin points here before you screw it down. You want to make sure that it's on those 2 points of contact before you start screwing it down. Now, we've got our 4 screws. That metal piece is in place on both sides. Again, I was holding that in place. I'll show you a picture of that in a second here. And again, I'm just trying to be fast about this and do a less than 10-minute video, which is causing me to forget a few things. So, and trying to impress everybody. So. So please no judging on my quick video. Or at least little to none. So make sure they're all snug. Doesn't need to be super tight, just snug. So that's just plastic we're cinching into. So all right. So You can see that the metal piece there is inside of the skull on both sides. Great. Now we can roll the skin over, and again I'm going to brace the skin as I'm rolling because I don't want to tear the zipper. And pull the skin down. Don't need to zip it, but I'm going to just kind of keep things controlled. Now I'm going to put the collar back on as I'm putting the skin back in its place. Now we're going to zip up the Airway head skin. We're going to play a little baby powder on here to help out with the collar going on. You don't have to have that, but it just helps out a little bit. So. Much better. Now let me make sure that our screw holes line up, which they did very easily. Put screw number 1 in. I'm gonna hold on to it so I don't drop it down the neck. Not that that would ever happen. I'm gonna put in a little bit and come back and tighten it once I get all of them in. Make sure that you're going straight. Okay, now I can cinch them all down. Again, we just want to get it snug, not super tight. Make sure that they're all tightened down flat. Go back and just double check that they're all cinched down. Now we're going to attach this hose here to the 2 connection points. All right, now we're going to put our ring back on. Make sure our screw holes are lined up and we don't drop any screws inside of the Airway, because they're not fun to fish out, as I've heard. And again, we're just getting to snug, not too really tight. Flat here so I can not put pressure on the neck while I'm doing that. Not that it would hurt it, but these mannequins are, other than the skin, are very durable. Again, normally I would probably put new screws in, but just for the demonstration purposes, I'm just going to put these same ones back in. You can tell they've been exposed to some fluids, which is fine for the Airway head here, so snug, snug, snug. I'm gonna bring the base back in and lock that back into place. The lever here. Check. I'm gonna grab the lung, and these are a little bit challenging to get to connect, but a little bit of pressure it can work. There we go. I got that on pretty easy. This one fell up. I'll put the lungs back on. Let's put this one on already. I'm going to put this one on. You can squeeze them on. It's a little bit challenging with lack of space, but they can go on. Just put a little pressure. And then the lungs go back, tube back in the lungs, back in the cradle, and cinch back down. And then don't forget to attach the tubing, which goes on this side. Goes back down. And coming back in. And in your stomach. And you're all done.